A very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News here on TV1. You're joining me, Debbie Faldano. Now, before we head into your stories in more detail, let's first take a look at your headlines this afternoon.
Police obstructs protesting teachers today as well. Venerable Gnanasara Thero to lead new task force on One Country, One Law. Justice Minister comments about the prevailing judicial system of the country.
මේ සම්පූර්ණ පද්ධතිය පිළිබඳව යම් සැකයකින් සහ තරම් ප්‍රසාදයකින් නෙවෙයි මිනිස්සු බත්.
Brazil senators back criminal charges against President Bolsonaro over COVID-19 pandemic handling.
Now, taking a look at one of your headline-making stories, Sri Lanka police obstructed the Satyagraha campaign that was staged citing the teachers' salary anomalies at the designated agitation area near the presidential secretariat today as well. The Teacher Principal Trade Union launched the Satyagraha campaign yesterday morning. Police attempted to remove the protesting group yesterday as well, and Fort Police visited the location today as well. We are teachers. Don't try to suppress us in this manner. Is this the police trying to establish their power in the country? President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has established a presidential task force for One Country, One Law. The task force was established yesterday through an extraordinary gazette issued by the president.
Venerable Galagodathe Gnanasara Thero has been appointed as the chairman of the 13-member Presidential Task Force for One Country, One Law. Senior Assistant Secretary to the President, Jeevanthi Seranayaka, has been appointed as the Secretary to the Presidential Task Force. Other members of the Presidential Task Force for One Country, One Law are Professor Dayananda Banda, Professor Shantinandana Vijayasinghe, Professor Sumedha Siriwardana, N.G. Sujeeva Panditaratna, Attorney at Law Uresh Seneviratna, Attorney at Law Sanjay Marabe, Eranda Navaratna, Pani Vavala, Maulavi Mohammed, Lecturer Muhammad Intikab, Khalil Rahman and Aziz Nizadin. According to the Gazette, the Presidential Task Force for One Country, One Law is tasked with the following: to make a study of the implementation of the concept One Country, One Law within Sri Lanka and prepare a draft act for the said purpose, to study the draft acts and the amendments that have already been prepared by the Ministry of Justice in relation to this subject and their appropriateness, and if there are suitable amendments, to submit proposal for the purpose and include them in such relevant draft as it deemed appropriate. Meanwhile, Minister of Justice, President's Counsel Ali Sabri said a public-centric approach should be adopted in the country's legal sector.
මේ නීති ශේෂ්ත්‍රය අපි දන්නවා ඉඩම් නඩුවක් පරම්පරා ගානක් යනවා. ඒක නෑ ඇත්ත කතා. පොඩි දරුවෙක්
In this legal system, we know that a land case could go on for generations. This is the real story. If a child is raped at the age of 15 years, by the time the case pertaining to the rape concludes, that child has grown up to an adult of around 32 years with 2 to 3 children. That is the reality. Therefore, the people has lost faith in the legal system. They are disappointed in this. There are certain laws in the system that have been formulated not to help the victims, but to further burden them. This legal system needs to change. There is need for a people-centric approach.
මේ ක්‍රමවේදවල වෙනසක් වෙන්නට ඕන. ජනතා කේන්ද්‍රීය වෙනසක් විය යුතුයි.
Justice Minister, President's Counsel Ali Sabri shared these remarks while attending the opening ceremony of the Kathagasdigiliya Divisional Magistrates Court.
Meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today informed the United Nations that Sri Lanka has taken the lead in minimizing the use of artificial fertilizer to resolve health-related concerns and reduce nitrogen waste. The President shared these remarks whilst attending a discussion headed by Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres at the United Nations headquarters in New York via video conferencing.
Internationally, Sri Lanka is proud to be a co-lead of the Energy Compact for No New Coal Power. Sri Lanka also leads the action group on mangrove ecosystems and livelihoods under the Commonwealth Blue Charter initiative. We have ensured that Sri Lanka's domestic policy framework has a focus on sustainability. We are also working towards enhancing national forest cover. To achieve these laudable objectives, Sri Lanka welcomes assistance through technology transfers, skills development, investment and financing support for our sustainable development agenda.
A group of farmers were taken to create awareness on cultivating crops using organic fertilizer farming lands in Ampara today. The session was organized by the Ministry of Agriculture.
The first group was taken to the fertilizer storing facility in Udayapura Valatapitiya. The fertilizer, which was to be distributed for the Baha season, was stored in the facility. The storage facility houses a stock of nano-nitrogen liquid fertilizer imported from India and other organic fertilizer. Subsequently, the group arrived at another paddy field where organic fertilizer was used for cultivation.
මෙදා මගේ වප් මගුලෙදී පළමුවෙන්ම හිහාන්න වෙළඳ කෘෂි දෙන්න ඇවිත් පළමු බානේ පෙරට යන්න.
Today marks the fourth day of the hunger strike staged by the farmers of Bakamuna, demanding a swift solution from the government for their prevailing shortage of fertilizer. Farmers attached to 42 farmers associations of the Morogahkanda Alavawa are engaging in this hunger strike. The farmers engaged in the hunger strike spend their night at their tents. Meanwhile, farmers in the Mahavali H zone in Megalava also engaged in protests, requesting a solution for their fertilizer shortage at the Megalava town.
Protest is the main embodiment of democracy. Therefore, it is good that they are protesting, but there's a time for that, and this is not the right time to hold demonstrations. All these issues we are facing right now are caused due to the pandemic. In another 2 to 3 weeks, everything will return to normalcy. There won't be any shortage of sugar or cement after that. Therefore, you don't need to worry about these issues. All these are temporary issues. Hence, we ask the opposition not to lose themselves by trying to highlight these temporary issues.
කාබනික පොහොර සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැන් කොහොමද කියන්නේ මේක කාබනික පොහොර හොඳයි. නමුත් මේ වැඩපිළිවෙල තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක් නිසායි.
අපිටත් පරණ පොරුදු අතාරින්න අමාරුනේ කාටත්. ඒ හැටි මනුස්ස.
It's hard to lose your bad habits. That's human nature. Even if we implement this program after 10 years, we will have to face a similar issue. The decision which we must all consider here is whether we are going to let this continue and let people die from the after effects of these chemical fertilizers, or whether we are going to implement it now. Therefore, I believe that this is a brilliant initiative. I request the farmers not to panic during these hard times. In case if there is a drop in harvest or the incomes, as the government will provide you with compensation.
Venerable Wakamulla Udita Thero expressed his views on the fertilizer crisis in the country.
විශාල විදේශීය විනිමය හිඟකමකට පත් වෙලා තිබෙනවා.
There's a huge foreign exchange deficit. As a result, the country's economy has collapsed and financial crisis has arisen. Due to the problems faced by the agriculture industry, the country could soon face a famine. Farmers who should be in the paddy fields are now on streets. The present rulers are putting the country in an unstable position. For anyone who is aware of what's happening in this country, it is such that the situation is reminiscent of World War II.
හැමතිස්සෙම ඔවුන්ට ආසන්න අත්දැකීම් තියෙන දෙවෙනි ලෝක යුද්ධ සංග්‍රාමයේ සිහි කැඳවන තත්වයක් දැන් දිනෙන් දින නිර්මාණය වෙලා තිබෙනවා.
What they are saying is to hand over the stock that does not contain bacteria and pathogens. Minister of Ports is insisting that the stocks will not be unloaded at the port. But that is not practical. If it is not unloaded at the port, they will have to return it. If the port is allowing to unload the stock, the president and the minister can make arrangements to establish a proper system for that. There is no system yet. It's still ongoing, so there is no need to panic.
Now everyone has forgotten how to bring the ship from China because we have opened letter of credit in Sri Lanka. The problem on whether LC was opened after testing is an internal issue. How can one open an LC without proper investigation? As a result, we can't blame China or anyone in that matter because if a LC is opened, it means we have provided our consent for purchasing and we have called for tenders and chosen using the tender process. We are carrying out testing after the LC was opened. There is an issue and it is within.
ටෙස්ටිං කරන්නේ. මේ පිළිබඳව පැහැදිලිව මම හිතන්නේ ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. ඒ ගැටලුව තියෙන වෙන කොහොමද මේ ඇතුළෙමයි තියෙන්නේ.
Deputy Director General of Health Services Dr. Hemantha Herath said about 60% of the country has been fully vaccinated and that a decision has been reached to administer the third dose of the vaccine. He said the necessary stocks are being procured for this purpose.
එන්නත මම හිතනවා මේ වන විට සමස්තයක් හැටියට ගත්තාම මේ රටේ ජනගහනයෙන් 60%.
About 60% of the country's population has been fully vaccinated by now. 70% have been inoculated with the first dose. It is very likely that they will get the second dose too. I think we will be able to reach the target of 70% in the near future without any problems. As a policy, we have decided to administer a third dose as well, and the process of obtaining the required stocks for this purpose is currently underway.
තොග ලබා ගැනීමේ ක්‍රියාවලිය මේ මොහොතේ සිද්ධ වෙනවා.
The total number of COVID-19 cases reported from the country stands at 537,201. This includes the 554 COVID-19 cases that were confirmed yesterday. 14 COVID-19 related deaths were reported from the country yesterday. Accordingly, the total death toll in the country stands at 13,654. The Ministry of Health stated that the total number of recoveries stands at 504,003. The PCR medical laboratory built together with the Bandaranaike International Airport, which was temporarily closed, has been reopened for arriving and departing passengers at the airport. The acting manager of the medical laboratory said that PCR tests can be performed on passengers arriving in and out of Sri Lanka who are fully vaccinated or inoculated with a single dose. A sum of $40 is charged for each PCR test and facility have been made to provide the results within 3 hours.
Sharmila Rajpaksa has been appointed as the new Director General of the Department of National Zoological Gardens. The appointment was made by President Gotabaya Rajpaksa. Sharmila Rajpaksa is scheduled to assume duties tomorrow. She served as the head of social media at the Presidential Secretariat and she is an accountant by profession. Sharmila Rajpaksa holds a bachelor's degree in accounting and finance management from the University of Sri Jayawardenepura and a master's degree in business administration from the University of Colombo. Meanwhile, addressing a media briefing today, the General Secretary of the United National Party, Palitha Range Bandara, commented on the resignation of several high-ranking officials in various state institutions. They said they will govern with intellectuals. They call it the Viatmaga. Today, the situation is such that there is no value to intellectuals and those educated, let alone the word intellectual has no value in it today. The government's conduct has led to the public's displeasure regarding intellectuals. The lack of experience and proper supervision has led to such a situation. Therefore, even if officials are not removed from their respective positions, there is a trend where they resign and leave. The government is in a situation where they have to beg those officials not to leave. Up next is Crime Watch.
Crime Watch.
Ratgama police have arrested 2 suspects who had fled the area in connection with an attempted murder. On 2 occasions last June and July, Samarakkodihevage Sujit, also known as Kopia, was shot and seriously injured. Police have seized a locally made 12-bore firearm and a sword used in the crime following the interrogation of the suspects. The weapons were found in the yard of the house of one of the suspects' mother last night. The suspects are to be produced before the court.
Crime.
I want your weather update this afternoon. The Department of Meteorology says showers or thunder showers will occur at most parts of the island, particularly during the evening or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western, southern, Sabargamuwa and central provinces. Showers may occur in the western and southwestern coastal areas during the mornings as well. Newsfirst.lk. For the Newsfirst team, I'm David Paldar. Take care.